You cheat with the guy I hate the most. I can play that too. In order to avoid this, I went in my wife's phone, where she had Facebook open, and she was chatting to this with whom I used to be good friends. A little background on the guy. He was from the old neighborhood, so we became friends over basketball, and I would defend him from problems. However, as time went on, I discovered that he was interested in younger women than himself, and I couldn't continue to be friends with or affiliated with him any longer. We got into a fight, and he ended up having to have his jaw wired shut. That was the last of him, really. So my ex-wife was having a conversation with him, and since she was a bit naive, she didn't realize he was having an affair with her. He offered that they meet for coffee on Wednesday, which she agreed to in advance. During that time, she and I were going through a difficult period. We married at the early age of 19, but I knew she was the one for me, and we've been married for 9 years and have 3 children. I call my boss and explain that I need to take the day off on Wednesday owing to family obligations, and he says that's okay with him. After I reread her messages, they came to the conclusion that they should meet at Starbucks. In the end, when it was time for them to meet, I feigned to leave for work while waiting outside a block away, where I saw he had picked her up, and then proceeded to a nearby Starbucks. I accompany them to their destination and stay in the car while simultaneously contacting all of my friends to inform them that the old me is back and to explain what is going on. The assistance of 2 of my friends who are solicitors in the process of creating a separation agreement and commencing divorce procedures was much appreciated by me. Observing me as they walk out of Starbucks, I observe that they are on their way to his house. Now, I just park and wait 2 minutes before knocking on the door, and when I knock I hide down so that they can't see me through the peephole, and when I hear the door open, I dash out the door and onto the street. As soon as I go in, he looks at me as if I'm a ghost. As soon as I see my ex-wife in her bra, all I can think is, "So this is what you do in your free time. I'm going to depart." We are outside, and she comes up to me, sobbing, saying she has no clue what is going on with her, that they did not have, but I quickly commanded her to off. Don't come back to the house, and if I see you with him, I'll ask him what is going to happen. As I'm walking away, he throws her out the window, and I can see he's scared. Being completely candid with you, I've done some very horrific things in the past. However, he understands who I am, what I've done in the past, and what I'm capable of. After visiting her Facebook profile, I see that he has posted a message that reads, "Stay the away from me." She tries to go back inside the house, and I tell her that if she goes any farther into the house, I would inform her whole family about what she did. Then she comes out sobbing, yelling for her possessions, and I just threw all of that garbage outside and told her to go. One of my friends, who also happens to be a police officer, came to my house and informed me that the PSIV had filed a restraining order against me and my wife, mandating us to keep a distance of 100 feet between us and him. The PSIV was aware of what was going on, and he explained how word got out to certain people about how the PSIV had a twisted-up obsession. He also explained how he had avoided certain persons, and how they had been dropped off in the old area after filing the restraining orders. I informed him that I wanted a restraining order against my wife until we could finalize our divorce. Soon after, I notified the children that we would not be seeing their mother for some time, and I phoned her using an app, telling her that she can explain herself to the children and that she is welcome to keep the children for the weekend as long as she stays away from me. I cut her off before she can go into the full "I'm sorry, pardon me" spiel, which I find hilarious. As we go through the divorce process, we were required to do an online course for the children, which was the most pointless $20 I've ever spent. Eventually, we got everything sorted out, and the court ruled that the prenuptial agreement is valid, and they will not be entitled to alimony. We plan to sell a house and split the earnings 50/50 with our friends. I spent half of my money to purchase a fantastic loft and still had enough money left over to purchase a new vehicle for my family. We're now in court, and the judge inquires, "Do you guys truly think you got everything settled?" She bursts out crying again, claiming that she is not this or that, and as a result, we had to go to child support, where the children must state where they want to live, and I considered telling them that Mommy doesn't believe in Santa Claus, but I decided against telling them that she doesn't believe in Santa Claus. I agreed to take the kids on weekends because she did work and she had moved in with her parents, who have more than enough money to support all of the children. However, because of my job, I am unable to pick up 2 of them from school and keep a 2-year-old at my workplace, but I was relieved to have the opportunity to do so. Inquired after my well-being when her younger sister came over to pick up the kids from their school. I took advantage of the situation and told her how lonely and miserable I was as a result of the loss of the one real love I had in my life. Her sister came over and made dinner for the kids and me, and she stayed after to talk with me. I told her how much I missed being with her sister, but that what she did was unacceptable, and she agreed. And then we started kissing, which led to. It wasn't until one day when I FaceTimed her that I realized my ex-wife was close and she had heard my voice, that I realized what they were talking about, how she had betrayed her, and how my ex had reportedly urged her to see if there was any hope of them getting back together again. To be honest, I had forgiven my ex-wife, but I didn't want to talk to or see her. When her family arrived, they took turns bringing the children over to me. I then gave her cousins the story, and with one of them, I started to be FWB with them. Once, though, my ex-wife arrived, and I asked her to wait outside since she was not authorized to enter the house at that time. Attempts were made to convey that she had gone to counseling and that she was now a completely different person who only desired a second chance. I'd forgiven her, but she soon became a source of irritation for me as I had become tired of her. She screamed when I accidentally stated that I had slept with her cousin, so I took her outside to weep. Now that I've moved on, I'm FWB with 2 women that I'd date if I had the opportunity, and I'm still relatively young at 29 years old. My ex-wife had deteriorated to a dangerous state, but I was always going to the gym and improving my own health. I mean, I appreciate a lot of what she's done for me, but what she did was terrible, and it's something I'll always remember. Story 2. He cheated on me with a man. I began dating this man, let's call him Chris, when I was fresh out of high school. Chris was a devout Christian who enjoyed preaching. We dated for about a year, but towards the end, he became strange. He began to go against his Christian views and want intercourse, something I was not prepared to do. He began acting out and fighting with me because his religion was being forced down my throat. He ended up befriending this child with whom he played those anime card games. They began to hang out more regularly, and he began to see and talk to me less frequently. On Valentine's Day, I went to his place to celebrate with him, and then his card pal showed there. They began to play, and I soon left since I was being ignored. I hadn't heard from him in a few days, so I messaged his brother to check if he had. That's when his brother told me he witnessed Chris and his friend kissing behind a neighborhood hangouts building. I just couldn't believe it. I was certain he was kidding, but he claimed he wasn't. My heart sunk, and I called his mother to see if she had any information. His mother answers the phone and asks when I'm going to call her. I pretended to be stupid and inquired as to why. Because my son broke up with you over Buddy's name, she explains. What? I tell her he never dumped me. She verified that he was now dating that person and that she would rather that I attempt to let him to explore his. She had always wished for a son. So, yeah. He eventually emails me and invites me to come over. I do, and he and his friend both admit to covertly dating and sleeping together. I asked why he didn't just break up with me instead of cheating, and his answer left me speechless. He claims that it isn't cheating since it wasn't with another lady and he is dating both of us. I walked away. After this, I ended up slapping his new boyfriends because he continued on me for taking my God.